Hello everyone! The story in today's video is based on true events. Enjoy watching. It was the third year of my marriage with Joni, the hardest, most painful years of my life, maybe the toughest test a woman could ever face. I loved him, truly, deeply, purely. So much that I could have given him my own heart if he wanted it. But apparently, he only used my heart as a decoration, something to show the world, so people would think we were happy. At first, everything was beautiful. Laughter over breakfast, plans over dinner. Then one day, he brought up the topic of having a child. He asked so casually that I couldn't even hear my own heartbeat. "Elizabeth," he said, "don't you think it's time we have a baby?" I smiled, because I wanted it too. But months went by. Every day I waited with hope, and every time, that hope ended in disappointment. I went to a doctor. They ran some tests. My hands trembled as I sat in her office. Her eyes were kind but professional. "Elizabeth," she said softly, "I'm so sorry, but it will be very difficult for you to conceive naturally." Something broke inside me. I couldn't speak. My eyes filled with tears, but none fell. Inside me, there was nothing left but pain. I couldn't tell Joni. I kept it to myself for days. But he noticed. His hopeful questions faded, his attention disappeared, his eyes changed. Silence began to fill our home. We stopped talking over breakfast. I tried. God, I tried. I cooked, I smiled, I dressed up. But nothing was enough. In his eyes, I was incomplete. And that feeling grew stronger every day. One night, he came home late. There was a perfume scent on him. But it wasn't mine. I didn't ask. Maybe because I was afraid of the answer. Days passed and he grew colder. Even the walls in our home started to feel like enemies. I began to fear what was coming. One morning, as I stirred sugar into my tea, he asked, "Elizabeth, have you ever felt that maybe this isn't our destiny?" He said it so calmly that it took me a moment to understand. Then he continued, "Maybe you won't be happy with me. And maybe I'll never be a father with you." My heart cracked open. "What are you saying?" I whispered. He didn't look at me. "I'm just saying," he said quietly. "Sometimes the right thing is to let go." That night I cried for hours. I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't even be angry, because being angry at someone you still love is almost impossible. But deep inside, a voice whispered, "Elizabeth, this can't go on." Days passed. One morning, Johnny left early for work. But he forgot his phone at home. Something inside me told me to look. The screen lit up with a message. "Don't forget our doctor's appointment today." "I hope the baby's doing fine," I froze. The message was from a woman named Clara. For a moment my heart stopped. My vision blurred. My hands shook. I slowly sat down. No tears came out. Because everything inside me had turned to stone. That day, I said nothing. When he came home, I just looked at him. The man standing before me wasn't my husband anymore. "Joni," I said quietly, "how long ago did you stop loving me?" His eyes filled with tears, but he said nothing. He knew exactly what I meant. He stayed silent. The following weeks were a blur. He packed his things and left. Without a word. Without an explanation. The sound of the door closing still echoes in my mind. After that, there was only me. Me and the silence. When you're alone, you start to realize even the walls breathe. I'd sit on the couch at night, coffee growing cold in my hands, asking myself, why did he do this to me? One day, I found an envelope in my mailbox. No address, just my name. Inside, a single photo. Johnny and a woman, her belly visibly round. And beneath it, one sentence. "He's going to be a father." Something shattered inside me again, but I didn't cry this time. I just went silent. Because some pain is too heavy even for tears. At night, lying in bed, I talked to myself. Elizabeth, I whispered, you have no right to cry anymore. Get up. But how do you get up when you're broken? During those days, my neighbor Anna often visited me. She brought food, she talked, she listened. One day she looked at me and said, sometimes God recreates you in your quietest moments. Her words stayed with me. One morning I woke up and looked in the mirror. My eyes were swollen, my hair messy, but something inside me was different. Elizabeth was no longer the abandoned woman. That day, I made a promise to myself. One day, when everyone is silent, I will rise. I sold my house, moved to another city. I looked lonely, but inside, hope was being reborn. I found a job, working at a small cafe. I learned to talk again. I learned to smile again. Months passed. Then one day, I started feeling dizzy. My stomach felt strange. At first, I thought I was just tired, but it didn't go away. Anna insisted I see a doctor. When I sat waiting for the results, my heart was racing. The doctor came in smiling. Elizabeth, she said, congratulations, you're pregnant. My breath stopped. I couldn't speak. This is impossible, I whispered. The doctor looked surprised. No, she said. It's a perfectly healthy pregnancy. Tears filled my eyes. I placed my hand on my belly. There was life growing inside me. For the first time in my life, the word impossible had lost its meaning. When I got home, I looked in the mirror. This time, my tears were different. Silent, but full of hope. What was growing inside me wasn't just a baby, it was a miracle. Not revenge, rebirth. And deep down, I knew. One day, Joni would find out. And when that day came, when everyone went silent, I would simply smile. Because sometimes, God's plan begins with a man's betrayal and ends with his miracle. The doctor's words kept echoing in my head. You're pregnant. After that moment, my whole life changed. As I walked home, my steps were light, but my heart was heavy. Inside me, there was both fear and hope. How is this possible? I whispered to myself. I was infertile. That evening, I sat in front of the mirror, staring at my belly. I placed my hand on it. It felt as if I could already sense the life growing inside me. Tears filled my eyes from pure joy. In that moment, all the shame, the words, the looks I had endured flashed before my eyes like a film reel. They called me barren. They called me an incomplete woman. They said I could never have a child. But for me, this was a miracle. As the days went by, I felt stronger every morning. I smiled on my way to work. I didn't want anyone to know. This miracle belonged only to me, and I wasn't going to let anyone destroy it. Anna still visited sometimes. She brought me soup and said, "You look pale, Elizabeth. Are you feeling okay?" I smiled and answered, "Just tired." But she saw it, the light in my eyes. "You've changed," she said one day. "You're not the same anymore." There's a happiness inside you. I only smiled. Yes, there was. But this secret had become my reason to live. Months passed. As my belly grew, so did my fears. At night, I dreamed of Joni. Sometimes he smiled at me, sometimes he turned his back and walked away. And each time I woke up with the same feeling, caught somewhere between loneliness and peace. One evening, it was raining. My shift at the cafe had ended, and I was walking home. The streetlights were blurry through the rain. A car stopped in front of me. The window rolled down slowly. My heart almost burst out of my chest. That voice, Elizabeth? I turned. It was Joni. In that moment, time stopped. Even the raindrops seemed to freeze in the air. After all these years, he was standing right in front of me. There was shock on his face. You live here? He asked. I couldn't speak. I just lowered my head. Then he noticed. His eyes moved to my belly. They widened. You, he whispered. You're pregnant. My heart was pounding wildly. All the silence I had carried inside me turned into a scream, but I didn't let it out. I only said, yes. And it's not yours. You should have seen his face, my friends. Shock, regret, anger, all at once. Who? He asked. It doesn't matter, I replied. What matters is that you never believed in me. He stepped out of the car and came closer. He looked into my eyes. Elizabeth, I'm sorry, he said. I made a mistake. Clara, the baby. He stopped. He couldn't finish his sentence. Finally, he whispered, the baby didn't make it. His eyes filled with tears. He looked truly broken. For a moment, a voice inside me said, you deserved it. But my heart didn't agree. Because when someone you once loved suffers, it reminds you of your own pain too. I lowered my head and stayed silent. I'm sorry, I said softly. He just looked at me, then walked away quietly in the rain. That night, I thought about everything. My mind was in chaos. His return shouldn't change anything, but feelings are not so easily controlled. I touched my belly. You're my miracle, I whispered. Not your father's. God sent you to me. Time passed. The due date was getting closer. I bought a small house and started preparing. At midnight, while folding baby clothes, I would daydream to myself. When you come into this world, everyone will go silent. Because no one will know what to believe anymore. One morning, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. It was Joni. He was holding an envelope. This is for you, he said. Divorce papers. He looked into my eyes. But I still love you. For a moment, my heart stopped. Then I simply nodded. It's too late, I said. I'm not the same woman anymore. He reached out his hand. At least let me help you, he said. For the baby. I refused. I don't need your help, I said firmly. As the day of birth approached, the storm inside me grew stronger. Fear, joy, and peace all tangled together. Sometimes I looked in the mirror and whispered to myself, you were once barren, but now you carry a miracle. This is God's justice. And one night, the pain began. It was raining again. It was 3 a.m. I was alone. Anna wasn't there. Joni wasn't there. No one was there. I wanted to call an ambulance, but I couldn't. I will do this on my own, I said. My breath was short. My hands were trembling. With every contraction, I learned something new about pain and about life. And just before dawn, the cry of a baby echoed through the house. Tears ran down my face, but this time they were tears of joy. It was a little girl, tiny, warm, and quiet, like a miracle itself. When I held her in my arms, the whole world went silent. The silence was so beautiful, as if the universe itself was whispering to me, you did it. But I knew that silence wouldn't last forever, because somehow Joni would find out. And when that day came, I wouldn't say a single word. I would just smile, because I was no longer incomplete. I was a mother. The baby was 3 months old now. Every morning I woke up to her cries, breathing in her scent as if it were the only air I needed. I named her Hope, because that's exactly what she was. Hope itself. For the first time in my life, something felt complete. Even though everything else was missing, she made it whole. Winter was approaching. As snow fell outside, I was standing by the window, holding Hope in my arms. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, there stood Joni again. He looked exhausted this time. Dark circles under his eyes, an emptiness in his stare. In his hand, there was a small box. "For you," he said, his voice trembling. I opened it. Inside was a tiny baby blanket. "Clara knitted it," he said softly. But he couldn't finish his sentence. I just nodded. "Thank you," I whispered. At that moment, the baby stirred in my arms. Johnny's eyes froze. He leaned forward slightly, staring at her. His breath hitched. "Her eyes," he said. "They're just like mine." My heart was pounding out of my chest. I gripped the blanket tightly. "No," I said in a low voice. "She has nothing to do with you." But my eyes told another story. Because even I wasn't sure anymore. Miracles were never meant to be explained. Joni's face twisted with pain. "Elizabeth, please," he said. "I need to know the truth." Silence fell between us. Then he began to cry. "When I lost you, I lost myself," he said. "Clara's gone, and I'm still here. But inside, you never left." He looked at the baby again. "Is she my daughter?" I didn't speak for a while. My heart was racing wildly. "It doesn't matter," I finally said. "You lost the right to be a father long ago." Tears filled his eyes. He looked down. "You're right," he said. "But maybe I still deserve a second chance." "No," I replied. "Second chances aren't given by miracles." I held the baby closer. "You're just a guest in our story now." Johnny stepped back. Tears rolled down his face. "You've changed," he whispered. I smiled. "Yes, because I finally learned. What hurts a woman most isn't betrayal. It's believing in a dream that never existed." That night, he left. He never came back. But I didn't feel empty. Because I was full. Full of love. Full of peace. Full of life. Years passed. Hope grew up. Her eyes were still like Joni's, but her heart was entirely mine. Every day when she came home from school, she'd run to me and hug me tightly. "Mom, you're the strongest woman in the world," she'd say. And inside a voice would whisper, "Yes, Elizabeth, you won. You are the hero of this story." One day, I was at the grocery store. At the checkout line, I noticed a man staring at me. His face was familiar. It was Joni. Time had aged him. He walked over quietly. "You're still beautiful," he said. I just smiled. "And you're still too late." His eyes filled with tears. "I know," he said softly. "But I want you to know, I never forgot you." At that moment, Hope walked up beside me. "Mom, let's go," she said. Johnny looked at her. For a second, he couldn't breathe. "What's her name?" he asked. "Hope," I said. "Because that's what you lost." He said nothing. Only tears rolled down his face. As we walked away, he stood there silently, watching us. And in that moment, the world went quiet. When we got home, I looked out the window. Snowflakes were falling slowly again. I held my daughter close, pressing her to my chest as if holding my past. The echoes of yesterday were gone, because sometimes God gives his greatest answers through silence. And that's where our story ends, my friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.